This is spoken like a person who never looked at any of the data or statistics whatsoever. And if she did, she probably knows that it doesn't make women look very good. Men do not overwhelmingly abandon their children. A little more than half of black men don't even have children, single and childless. So all these children that we see, obviously she's not looking at the stats where, it's really 20% of the black men, 20% of black men are making 80% of the babies. She doesn't know this. She didn't look at any stats whatsoever, any data whatsoever. But, fellas, because we think logically, because we like the facts, the data and statistics, because we understand that, and we have armed ourselves. Okay, over the last couple of years, men now have been looking and speaking out on these issues. Before, we were just suffering in silence, but many of us already know. And see, a person like this, you don't deal with modern women. You don't even talk to them, really. Really don't. Not too much of the back and forth, because they already have these narratives in their head. All men are evil, all men are bad, they just leave, da 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 da. Data says only men leave their marriages 20% of the time. Period. That's what the data shows. 20% of the time. So 80% of the time, women are willing to bust up their homes. But they already have a narrative for that too. They have a narrative for that. It doesn't matter what happens, it's always the guy's fault. So they have a narrative to that. If we say, hey, you know what? 80% of the time, women leave their marriage, and then they say, "Oh well, what did he do? Maybe he was abusive, or maybe he cheated, or something." They already have that lined up. So don't argue with them. Don't go back and forth with them and stuff like that. They don't even look at they write down, they record why they're getting a divorce, and guess what? Abuse isn't number one. Cheating isn't number one. The abuse isn't number one. Cheating isn't number one. It's irreconcilable differences. She just changed her mind. That's why they're leaving. The number one reason why they just changed their mind. So they're busting up their it reminds me of that saying that says, you know what? A woman will leave her family or sacrifice her family for her happiness, and a man will sacrifice his happiness for his family. I think that's becoming more and more evident. It's not the men that are abandoning their children. It is sad that so many children have to grow up thinking they had a deadbeat father or a father that abandoned them, when all they did was actually live with a bitter mother who weaponized them against their father. It's sad. And so we have all these women mad at men when it was 20% of the men, because they're sleeping with the same guy, with the same 20% of the guys. I don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm just talking to you, fella. It's just us. It's just us. We're ignoring. It's just us. It's funny. It's almost shocking that they don't see it, but I think they do. But they're not going to be accountable. You're not going to be able to tell them anything. You're not going to be able to reason with them. You're not. So don't deal with these women. There will be a great purge, right? You already know about the report about what's going to happen in 2030, okay? Over 45%, almost half of the women, almost half of them will be single and childless. Go ahead and buy your stocks in wine and pet food. Go ahead and get some of the Chewy stock. Go ahead and invest in some wine companies or something, because it's going to be a flood. Now, they will cope. They'll be like, oh, well, that's what women want. We'll be happy and all that. Okay, great. No problem. Gentlemen, get your passports. Keep working on yourself. Become the best version of yourself. And listen, leave modern women alone. Don't mess with them. Don't date them. Don't give them your time, your attention, your money. Give them nothing. Don't donate at sperm banks. Don't do the OF subscriptions. No prawn. None of that stuff. Don't give modern women anything. Give your time and your resources to traditional women, women who align with your values, women who see the world the way you see it, women who see family the way you see it. Have some ethics, live by a code, and find women who can align with that code, who can get on your program. And leave these modern women alone. They are broken. They have not grew up with a father and have mom and dad at the home at the same time. They were in a broken home, just like many of you probably grew up in a single mother home, but at least you figured out something was wrong, something was off. They have not. They believe in the programming. At least you are trying to unplug from the matrix and say something is wrong. There's moral decay. We're celebrating debauchery, degeneracy, promiscuity is celebrated. Something is wrong. They don't see that. You see it, they don't. So leave them alone. There has to be a great purge. Leave them alone. Let them be alone. And when they start seeing families and they start seeing that you're happy, some will change. Some, very few, but some will change and be like, you know what, maybe what I'm thinking, maybe feminism has tricked me. Maybe this gynocentric society is, maybe there's something wrong. But your words are not going to do it. None of that is going to do it. But your convictions will do it. Your passport will do it. Your soft guy era will do it. Drizzle will do it. All that. Keep building yourself. Keep becoming the best version of yourself and the type of guy that these modern women don't even deserve.